Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
The U.S. Supreme Court with a landmark decision overturning Roe v. Wade, which has stood for nearly 50 years.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
Here in Michigan, the legal battle is still unfolding.
There's so much unknown, and that's precisely why our court needs to act.
Right now, abortion in Michigan is legal because a judge last month suspended a 1931 law that made it a crime.
But abortion opponents say the old law is valid and should stand. The ruling was a 6-3 split. The Supreme Court siding with a Mississippi law that bans almost all abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The justices also struck down Roe v. Wade. That was a 5-4 split. As of now, abortion rights will be determined by the states themselves. Today's ruling comes more than a month after that stunning leak, you remember, of a draft opinion by Justice Samuel Alito indicating the court was prepared to take this step. Now take a look at this map that shows the status of abortion laws in every state.
13 states currently have what so-called trigger bans that will ban abortion within 30 days. 7 states are likely to ban abortion within weeks or months. In 21 states, abortion is likely to remain legal. Meanwhile, in 10 states, including the state of Michigan, the fate of abortion remains uncertain. Tonight we have team coverage. Grant Herms takes a look at how today's ruling could affect Michigan's midterm elections.
But first, let's get to Mara McDonald, who's in downtown Detroit tonight, where pro-choice groups have gathered outside the federal courthouse. Mara.
Hi, Jace. Take a look behind me. You can see we've got hundreds of protesters out here with more on the way, probably about 1,000 at this point under the watchful eye of police who have surrounded the courthouse. So far, there have been no issues.
2, 4, 6, 8, you can't make us procreate!
Hundreds of protesters gathering outside the federal courthouse in Detroit.
Women's rights are fundamental rights. It impacts not just women, but family. Women deserve the right to have a say over what they do to their bodies.
While a heavy police presence was outside the entirety of the building, including fencing, the protesters may have been upset about today's decision, but they were perfectly calm and controlled.
This is just garbage in terms of bodily autonomy. This is a healthcare concern. I know that there are a lot of hot topics around this in terms of levels of comfort, but that's between an individual and their healthcare provider.
I was around before Roe v. Wade, and I saw a lot of young girls' lives ruined. And I feel it's important to be here for them.
The Supreme Court is supposed to be an apolitical organization, and this is anything but.
Back here live, lots of protesters out here, but also lots of petition signature gatherers attempting to get enough signatures to put the abortion issue on the ballot this fall. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Okay, Mara, thank you. Meanwhile, in Livonia, an anti-abortion celebration took place this afternoon near a Planned Parenthood. Again, there have been no issues reported so far at any of the protests and rallies that have taken place. Reaction coming in across the state after the Supreme Court's ruling to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Grant Herms joins us now with a look at how the court's decision will affect the state's midterm elections. Grant.
Jason, Kimberly, the expectation is here this will energize a lot of voters on both sides of the aisle. Democrats hoping to give something voters can urge themselves to the polls about. Republicans saying because of this decision today, their fight is not over. They're telling voters that they want them out in the streets.
The decision on Dobbs setting up a fight in Congress and ahead of the already supercharged midterms. Michigan Republicans praising the ruling, like Representative Lisa McClain, who put out this video on Twitter.
Our prayers have been answered, and again, this is a fantastic day for life.
And Representative Tim Walberg, who tweeted, "Today's ruling is a tremendous victory for life." Walberg's office just days ago vandalized with pro-choice messages and threats. On the other side of the aisle, Michigan Democrats issuing dire warnings.
This has now become an even more contentious political issue. And the people that folks elect, the people who are sworn into office, will be making big decisions.
I've heard from many Republican colleagues that they want a national ban on the right to choose an abortion, and our former vice president has called for that as well.
Both sides expect the ruling to kick voters into high gear in both the primary and November elections. The decision likely to be very unpopular in Michigan. In the latest Local 4 poll, only 19% of Michiganders wanted to see an end to Roe v. Wade. Democrats hoping it can fix a lack of enthusiasm, and Republicans putting their hopes on the prospect of keeping a hard-fought win won.
I assume that people who are avidly anti-choice, that it will energize them, and for people who want to see their rights protected, that they will also be energized.
Now, that poll was done in January, so well before the draft opinion was leaked, and obviously today's actual decision. It'll be interesting to see here, Kimberly, as we move forward, if things shift or if thoughts from voters crystallize here after today's ruling.
Yeah, Grant, what about a movement in Congress? A lot of people have been waiting for today, and a lot of people have been warning about today. What comes next?
Well, already as of today, House Republicans have said that they want to push for a national ban on abortion, maybe 15 weeks, maybe 20 weeks of pregnancy. It would be an interesting move to make, given today's ruling from the Supreme Court says that it's a state's issue, not a federal issue. Now, on the other side of the aisle, Democrats have been pushing for a constitutional amendment to protect abortion. President Biden advocating for that today, but they simply don't have the votes right now. This is something that will likely stretch well into next year as well. Yeah. Back to you.
Okay, Grant, thank you. We have much more on today's ruling at clickondetroit.com, including reaction from local leaders. We've also posted the entire 213-page opinion. It's all right there on the homepage.
Well, looking outside, another gorgeous sunny day to guide us into the weekend.
Yeah, beautiful shot there over Belle Isle. Brian Sherman is in tonight. Brian, how's the rest of the night looking for us?
Kimberly and Jason, the rest of the night looks fantastic. As you saw there, plenty of sunshine today. Much of the same as we're checking in over in Ann Arbor this evening. A beautiful night, lower humidity values sticking around today, but changes are on the way as we head into the upcoming weekend. 86 degrees right now here in Detroit, as well as over in Ann Arbor. 87 working into Lapeer, and cooler 82 in Monroe. But look at our dew points here at the bottom. That's the measure of the moisture content of the atmosphere. The lower the number, the better it feels. We like the 50s, although Monroe checking in into the 60s. We're going to keep these 50s, pleasant dew points around for not only today, but part of tomorrow before that humidity starts to creep up, with rain heading our way by the time we get to the end of the weekend. Mid 80s by 6 o'clock this evening, dropping into the 70s by the time we get to midnight tonight. Three things to know for the weekend. Humidity and rain are back into the forecast. The fireworks, we've got a picture-perfect forecast on the way, and then a few more chances for rain next week as well. The details coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, Brian, thank you. Tense moments for passengers on a Spirit Airlines flight headed to Detroit from Fort Myers, Florida. The plane made an emergency landing Thursday due to an issue with the landing gear. Sean Lay joins us live now with more. Sean, you spoke to a passenger on board who describes this gut-wrenching experience.
And Kimberly, the passenger's name is Mark. He is sharing his story with us tonight. How he describes the final moments of this plane landing here at Metro Airport, landing safely, but the moments before that, his description will make you want to buckle up.
Pilot comes on and he's like, we're trying to use up all our fuel. We have mechanical problems and we're going to brace for an emergency landing.
Mark Savides has taken the Spirit flight from Fort Myers back to Detroit dozens of times. Spirit flight 1150 turning terrifying Thursday morning.
We thought we were going to kind of basically die.
Spirit confirms a mechanical issue. Savides says a problem with the landing gear had the flight circling over Monroe County for an hour to burn off fuel as flight attendants showed passengers how to keep their heads down when it was time to land at DTW.
But when he was ready, he was going to call out brace. And once we hear the word brace, that's when we know to take our positions on the plane. And I mean, you should have heard people were trying to call their families, people were texting, trying to get a hold of their loved ones, and crying, emotional, praying. I mean, there was everything going on.
Savides and the others did brace for impact. The pilot landing the plane, part on the runway, part on the grass, safely.
Everybody was just like elated. I mean, we were relieved. Looking out the window to see if we made it, holding each other's hands, just trying to talk to everyone, like just smiling at everyone like we made it. Lots of cheering, It was a lot of relief. People in front of me were emotionally, I mean, they got on their phones immediately and just started crying and talking to their loved ones.
All right, back here live. We're so glad Mark and all the passengers and crew on this flight are absolutely safe, a safe landing here. But Mark also wants to point out the Spirit crew, the pilots and flight attendants were incredibly professional during this scare and knew exactly what to do. We're live at Metro Airport tonight. Sean, Local 4. Back
Glad
to
it all
you.
turned out okay. Sean, we appreciate it.
It's been a devastating week on Metro Detroit highways. 6 people have died in just the past 5 days. Now, a blunt message from the state police. None of those were accidents. All could have been avoided. As Nick Monticelli reports, troopers around the state are fed up and they're changing their enforcement.
Honestly, that message from MSP is going to be even more blunt to all of these drivers, not just about the types of accidents and how they can be avoided, but what they're doing. They're going to get much more aggressive with their enforcement, writing even more tickets, trying to send a message. As you heard, 6 people have lost their lives in just the past 5 days. Crashes on M14, the Lodge, I-94, and 696 have claimed too many people in too few days. However, Lieutenant Mike Shaw with the Michigan State Police says,
all preventable. None of them, had to happen.
Yeah, it's blunt, but truthful. Shaw says every crash involved somebody doing something wrong. Impaired driving, distracted driving, following too close, crossing the median, the list continues. Statewide, the numbers are even worse. More than 1,100 people died last year.
1,100 people that didn't have to die on our roadways, and they're all from people that are just not taking driving seriously anymore. We're seeing speeds we've never seen before. And we're not stopping people for 5 over or 10 over. We're stopping people for 20, 25, 30, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit.
So troopers are changing their game plan. Instead of trying to appeal to drivers' humanity about the loss of life, they're appealing to your finances, getting more aggressive with tickets and fines.
Okay, if you don't care about yourself or others, maybe that 150, 200 bucks out of your wallet might make a difference for you.
And if that doesn't work, they're not sure what will. I'm Nick Monticelli, Local 4.